Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer, and I'm a teacher with English in the City Prato. And today we're doing Focus Activity 6-7. We are apologizing. I hope everyone is having a good day so far. And hello, Giovanni. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me today. And hello, Gianmarco. Nice to hear from you too. I hope everyone is having a good afternoon. We've seen that spring has returned. I was a little bit worried. Good afternoon. What is your name, DNS? Hello, Eric, and hello, Carolina. Thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you just tuning in, my name is Jennifer. I'm a teacher with English in the City Prato, and we are live on our YouTube channel. Denise, hey, how are you? I haven't heard from you yet so far. It's so nice to hear from you. And hello, Andrea. We are live this afternoon on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. So we're back again today. It's a beautiful sunny Thursday. So happy Thursday, everyone. Hello, Greta. Nice to hear from you today. Are you Greta? Yes, excellent. I got it today. Denise, I'm okay. I'm much, much better today. I have to admit, the last few days were rainy and gray and very dreary. But today I saw that the sun is shining. It's a beautiful spring day. So I'm feeling much, much better. Thank you. So thank you, everybody, for joining me this afternoon. This afternoon, we are doing Focus Activity 6-7, apologizing. I know. Apologizing is one of the most difficult things to do, even in your own language. When you have to apologize in another language, it's even that much more difficult. It really, really is. I hope everyone has had a good week so far. I hope that everyone is having a good day as well. And we're going to start our focus activity, apologizing. What does it mean to apologize? Is it a positive or a negative thing? What does it mean to? Thank you very much, Denise. What does apologizing mean? Apologizing is when you say, I'm sorry. When do you say, I'm sorry? You say, I'm sorry when you do something that hurts another person. If you have an accident, for example, Denise, you're walking down the hallway and I stick out my foot by accident and you trip and you fall down. I help you up and I say, oh, Denise, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you. So when we do something that hurts someone else, we apologize. We can make someone angry. We can make someone sad. But the most common phrase for apologizing is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And it's not always easy to apologize because sometimes we apologize even when we don't want to. And that's the hardest time to say I'm sorry, is when maybe you really aren't. So in today's focus activity, focus 6-7, apologizing, we're going to practice saying we're sorry. Different ways you can say you're sorry. Accepting an apology and making excuses. You can apologize for something more serious. For example, you're driving your car and you crash into somebody else and you say, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hit your car. Or it could be something smaller, like um, there's ice cream in the freezer. You finish all the ice cream, and then your mom says, "Hi, Christina, how are you?" And then your mom says, "What? Who finished the ice cream?" And you say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you wanted the ice cream." It could be something big or something small, something serious and something not so serious. But it's always important to say you're sorry sometimes. And in this focus activity, we're going to find out when. So Denise asked us, what does apologizing mean? Apologizing means when you say you are sorry. So on the first slide, hi, Christina, I'm glad you're doing good today. It's nice to hear from you. In the first slide, we have 4 questions. Have you had to apologize to someone recently? What was it for? What expressions did you use? And what was their response? So let's consider the first question together. I'm going to ask all of you, when you have a comment to make, just type it in and put it in the conversation box over to the side. Hello, Lucrezia. Thank you for joining us today. You're right on time. We've just started our focus activity. This afternoon, focus 6-7, we're talking about apologizing. And Denise asked us, what does it mean to apologize? Apologize is when you say you are sorry. The first question on this slide is, have you had to apologize to someone recently? Have you? I must say I'm sorry at least once a day to somebody, sometimes more. Do you find that you apologize often to people? For example, I received a phone call. My friend called me this morning and she was talking a lot. And I had to go because I had to prepare my lessons for today. So I interrupted her and I said, listen, I said, it was great talking to you, but I'm sorry, I have to go. So I was apologizing because I had to cut the conversation short. I wanted to keep talking to my friend, but I had to cut the conversation short so that I could prepare my lessons for today. So I interrupted her and I said, I'm sorry, but now I have to go. That was one apologize that I made today. Has anyone in the group had to apologize to someone recently? And if you have, what was it for? As I said, I apologized to my friend this morning or early afternoon because I had to stop the conversation on the phone. I also apologized to my colleague just now, and we were doing a lesson on online, and I didn't know how to use the app. So I apologized for my ignorance in using the app. So that I said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know how to use this app. So it made the lesson a little bit slower, but I did the best that I could. If you haven't had to apologize to someone, is it difficult to apologize to someone? Is it difficult to say, I'm sorry? Or I shouldn't have done that? Is it difficult for you to say that you're sorry? Because we see that sometimes we apologize for things that aren't very serious, and sometimes we have to apologize for things that are serious. Can we think of any examples? No. Denise says no. Denise, which question though? Is it easy to apologize? No, it is not easy. Or Have you had to apologize? No, I haven't. No to what? I have had to apologize recently, and no, it is not easy to apologize. I apologize very, very often. I apologize for anything that I think could possibly be my fault. And even if it isn't my fault, I apologize anyway if somebody thought it was my fault. So I'm always sorry. I'm sorry for everything. When you apologize, what expressions do you use? He said the most common expression for apologizing is, I'm sorry. Thank you, Denise. Excellent. Is it easy to apologize? No, it is not easy. It's very difficult, especially when you think you are right. That's the hardest time to apologize. So maybe somebody gets offended, for example. You have a friend and she asks you, do I look fat? And you say, yeah, you do. And she's like, how could you say that? You're my friend. How could you tell me that I look fat? And you say, well, you asked me and I told you the truth. So you might think, well, excuse me. You asked me a question. I'm honest with you. You asked me if you look fat, and I said, yes, you do. So you might not think you should apologize, but your friend is very upset. I can't believe you think I look fat. I try so hard not to eat, and I think I look really good. And so you tell her, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. But maybe you think, oh, but you do look fat. And Denise says, I'm afraid somebody refused my apology. Okay, that happens too, Denise. Very, very good. Sometimes we apologize and we're afraid that if we say, I'm so sorry, that person will say, you know what? I don't care. You're not really sorry. And they don't accept the apology. Very good, Denise. That's a very important point. Because when you apologize, when anyone apologizes, the other person has to accept the apology. They have to say, oh, it's okay. Thank you so much for telling me that you're sorry. Thank you so much. So when we apologize, it's difficult. Also because we think, well, what if I apologize, but the other person doesn't accept it? And that brings us to the fourth question. What was their response? When you say you're sorry and you are sincere and you say, oh my goodness, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. What does the other person say? Do they say, oh, that's okay. I understand. Or do they say, you know what? I don't care. If you were really my friend, you wouldn't do this to me. So they can either accept your apology or they can refuse it. And as Denise said, that makes it difficult to apologize if we're worried that someone's going to refuse our apology. Let's go over language for apologies. Here we see on our screen the word sorry. Sorry is the most common expression that we use for an apology. I'm so sorry that happened. I'm so sorry that I hurt you. What are other phrases that we can use for apologizing? We can also say, I apologize for. So when we apologize, we can say, I am apologizing. We can say, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry for, or I'm really sorry about. Please accept my apology. So here we are, we're asking someone to accept our apology. Why do we ask someone to accept our apology? Because they want We want them to forgive us. So we can ask them, please forgive me, or please excuse me. These are all different phrases for saying we are sorry and to ask the other person to forgive us. Because not only is it difficult to apologize, it's also difficult when you are sorry and you really feel bad and the other person doesn't believe you. Has that ever happened to anyone in the group today? That sometimes you are honestly very, very sorry and that people don't believe you're sorry. It's a terrible feeling when you want someone to accept your apology and then they refuse it. It's a terrible feeling. Of these different phrases for apologizing, which one is the most intense? For example, if we do something very serious, like, for example, you go to a friend's house for dinner and you're not allowed to smoke. You can't smoke in the house. So your friend says, okay, go outside and smoke in the garden in front of the house. And you say, okay. You go outside and you're smoking, and then you're ready to go back in the house and you flick your cigarette on the ground and it starts a fire and you burn your friend's house to the ground. That's serious. What do you say? Oh, excuse me, but you told me to smoke in the garden. I smoked in the garden and I burned your house down. No, you say, oh my God, please forgive me. I'm so, so sorry. I burned your house down. So which excuse would you use? Which apology would you use for something more serious? And which apology would you use for something less serious? Because there are also the times, the circumstances when we need to apologize very, very seriously. We can't just say, oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to do it. I didn't know. No, not when people get really hurt, either physically or emotionally. Oops, I skipped a slide. Okay, so we can also say we're sorry. We can ask for forgiveness. And then usually we can make an excuse. What is an excuse? At the beginning of the focus, Denise asked us, what is an apology? An apology is when you ask for forgiveness. You say, I am sorry. But after you say you're sorry, you make an excuse. What is an excuse? Let's take a look at the dialogue here on our screen to understand what an excuse is. Sorry, I'm late. There was so much traffic on the way. I was worried something had happened. I'm glad you're okay. Sorry, I couldn't call you because my cell phone's dead. Never mind, it's no problem. I was enjoying the rain. Would you like to go for a walk? We see two conversations here. One phrase is in blue. One phrase is in red. Which ones are the excuses? In each group of sentences, there's the apology and an excuse. If we know that sorry is the apology, what is the excuse? Can anyone tell me which phrases, which sentences are the excuses. So we read through both brief conversations just now. Sorry I'm late. There was so much traffic on the way. I was worried something had happened. I'm glad you're okay. In these sentences, blue and red, the first two, this one and this one, which phrase or which sentence is the excuse? Sorry I'm late. Is that the excuse? I was worried something had happened. Is that the excuse? I'm glad you're okay. Is that the excuse? Or there was so much traffic on the way. Which is the excuse? In the first conversation, this is the excuse. Very good. Thank you. Carolina, number one. Yes, in the first conversation, sorry I'm late. And Greta says the blue, very good. The blue sentence is the excuse. But which part of the blue sentence? There was so much traffic on the way. That's your excuse. What does it do? It is an explanation. It explains why you are late. That's the excuse. The second part, very good, Catalina. So if we know that the part that says, I'm sorry, is the excuse, then the part that comes after, no, I'm sorry. The part that says, I'm sorry, is the apology. I'm sorry is an apology. Then the part that comes after is the excuse. There was so much traffic on the way. Let's take a look at the second conversation. Sorry I couldn't call you because my cell phone's dead. Never mind, it's no problem. I was enjoying the rain. Would you like to go for a walk? Very good. And also in the second conversation, we see that the excuse is because my cell phone's dead. Sorry I couldn't call is the apology. Because my cell phone's dead is the excuse. It's the explanation as to why you couldn't call. Why are you late? Because there was so much traffic. So that means that when we make an excuse, we explain why we did something wrong or why we hurt somebody. If I'm late and I say, I'm sorry I'm late because I give an explanation and that's my excuse. Sometimes there are good excuses and sometimes they are not good excuses. And we're going to see examples of both. Let's take a look at the next slide, making excuses. We see a picture of a couple here. She looks extremely unhappy. And he's like, well, we can imagine that the excuse he is giving might not be a good excuse. Let's take a look at the dialogue. I'm sorry I upset you. I didn't mean to be insensitive. How could you make a joke about my dead cat? You know how sad I am about him. I sincerely apologize. I wasn't thinking. Okay, just don't let it happen again. We see now that if the blue sentences are the apologies and the excuses, we see in the first part of the conversation, I'm sorry I upset you, is the apology. I didn't mean to be insensitive is the excuse. I sincerely apologize is the apology. And what's the explanation? I wasn't thinking. So I said something foolish, but I wasn't thinking, and that's why I said it. So I'm very, very sorry. Going back to the slide before, we have apologies and excuses. And then in the red, what do we have? If the sentences in blue are apologizing and making excuses, what does the red phrase do? Because remember something interesting that Denise said at the beginning, that it's difficult to apologize because sometimes the other person doesn't accept the apology. If you don't accept an apology, you refuse an apology. So you can accept an apology or you can refuse an apology. That's what the red sentences are doing. They're either accepting or refusing. Carolina says, I didn't mean to be insensitive and I wasn't thinking. Excellent. In the second slide, in the following slide, those are the excuses. He made 2 excuses after his apologies. So if we see that the red sentences accept or refuse, can you tell me in this conversation, does the red sentence accept or refuse the apology? Sorry I'm late. There was so much traffic on the way. I was worried something had happened. I'm glad you're okay. Does this person accept or refuse the apology? What do you think? Does this person accept or refuse the apology? We can also think about the language we use when we accept an apology. We can also think about the language we use when we refuse an apology. Usually when someone tells us, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Thank you very much, Gianmarco, Carolina, and Greta. Very good. The red phrase accepts the apology. How do we know? I'm glad you're okay. It's a positive sentence. In the second conversation, sorry I couldn't call you because my cell phone is dead. Never mind, it's no problem. I was enjoying the rain. Would you like to go for a walk? Does this person accept or refuse? Never mind, it's no problem. Is she accepting or refusing the apology? What do you think? Because usually when we see the language, very good, the following conversation is accept as well. When we see it's okay, never mind, no problem, then that's an acceptance of the apology. Very good, Greta. Thank you. Here, how could you make a joke about my dead cat? You know how sad I am about him. I sincerely apologize. I wasn't thinking. Okay, just don't let it happen again. We see also in this conversation that the person is accepting the apology. So when we see phrases like, it's okay, never mind, don't worry, we know that the person has accepted the apology. You were so rude in front of my friends. Here's another excuse. So here we see in this image, there's a girl and a boy, and it looks like they are not getting along. Maybe they have had an argument, but they don't look very happy right now. And the question is, why were you so rude in front of my friends? No, you were so rude in front of my friends. Wasn't a question. Why can't you make an effort to be friendly? So here you take your partner out to meet your friends. Maybe it's someone new that you're dating. And the new person that you're dating is rude to your friends, but really rude. Why can't you make an effort to be friendly? If your partner or maybe a colleague or somebody says this to you, what kind of excuse can you make for them? Or how would you answer? You were so rude. Oh my goodness. I take you out to meet my friends and you're so rude and mean to all of my friends. Why can't you make an effort to be friendly? How do you respond? So someone has accused you of not being friendly and of being rude. What do you say? I don't care what you think. Your friends are stupid. What do you say? I don't need any friends. All I need is you. How do you respond? Because obviously this person in your life is very unhappy. You were so rude, they say. Why can't you make an effort to be friendly? How do you respond? Do you say you're sorry? Or do you say, you know what? I think you're overreacting. I didn't want to go out anyway. Let's think of the phrases we use to apologize. What kind of phrase could you use after this accusation? So someone says to you, you were so rude. Why can't you make an effort? Why can't you try to be nice? What phrases have we seen in the beginning of the focus that would help us to apologize? Thank you, Catalina. Catalina says, excuse me, but your friends aren't that kind. Well, yes, that's one way. So what did Catalina do? Beautiful, Catalina. Catalina says, for those of you following on Facebook, Catalina says, excuse me, but your friends aren't very kind. Catalina has apologized. Excuse me, that's her apology. And she's also given us an excuse. Your friends aren't very nice. Maybe if they were nicer, I would be nicer. Very good, Catalina. Excellent. Catalina has given us a perfect example of an apology and an excuse. Because usually they go hand in hand. You apologize for something, and then you give an explanation. You explain why you did it. And these are other examples of apologies and excuses. I'm sorry if I seemed rude, is the apology. I just wasn't in the mood to socialize. You're welcome, Catalina. I just wasn't in the mood to socialize is the excuse. So very often when we apologize, we justify our behavior. We say, well, it wasn't my fault. I wasn't thinking. Or your friends just aren't very kind. That's why I'm rude. Very nice, John Marco. Excellent. John Marco says, oh, and isn't this sweet? Talking to his dear one. I'm sorry, love, but I'm very stressed about my job. How could you not accept that apology? What a beautiful apology. I'm sorry, love. I'm very stressed about my job. And then I'm going to say, oh, it's okay. My friends are stupid anyway. I don't care about my friends. I only care about you. So we see another great example of apologizing and then giving an explanation or making an excuse for your behavior. And then the person here says, you don't have to talk to everyone, but you could at least look a little more interested. Just forget about it. Now we've seen a different response. In the other slides, how did the people respond to the apologies? It's okay, never mind, don't worry about it. Here we have a person. Did they accept the apology? But did they respect it? And because you can accept an apology different ways. For example, Catalina says, excuse me, your friends aren't very kind. And I say, you know what? You're right. They're not. Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Or John Michael says, I'm sorry, love. I'm just so stressed about my job. And I say, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter. I love you so much anyway. Okay, great. And then this person says, I'm sorry if I seemed rude. I'm just not in the mood to socialize. Did this person really accept the apology? You don't have to talk to everyone. Oh, just forget about it. Does that seem like a really nice way to accept an apology? If you apologize to someone and they say, oh, just forget about it. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm telling you, I'm sorry. And you just, it is an acceptance, but it's not a very nice one. So we see that there are different ways of accepting apologies as well. And here we get into the language for accepting apologies. In the beginning of the focus, we looked on different ways to apologize. I'm sorry, please forgive me, please excuse me. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I did it. So you make an apology and then you make the excuse. I wasn't thinking, I had no idea. Oh, it was raining. My battery's dead in my phone. My car broke down. The dog, the kids, the stress for my job. Very good, Catalina. Catalina says, yes, you're right, but I can't change them. They're rude, I know. So Catalina has expressed the apology, the excuse, and the half acceptance. She goes, yeah, my friends are rude, but they're my friends. They're my friends. Who are you? These are my friends. They're rude, but they're my friends. Who are you? So these are different. This is different language then, also for accepting apologies. No problem. That's okay. That's all right. I forgive you. Never mind. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Don't let it happen again. Don't let it happen again is a very odd acceptance because it means that I will remember exactly what you have done. Don't ever let it happen again. So I'm accepting your apology for now, but if this happens again, it's not going to be good for you, or for me, for anybody else. So we see that there is a gradation of how you accept apologies. And that sometimes the acceptance of the apology is as important as the apology itself. So here we have a dialogue of making and accepting apologies. And this is a simple scenario. Hi, we have a reservation for 8 p.m. under the name Clara. Let's see. I apologize, ladies, but I don't see you in the book. Are you sure? We called just a few hours ago. I'm very sorry. They didn't write it down. I'll have a table set up for you now. Thank you. We appreciate it. In this conversation, which are the apologies? We have a few examples of apologies. Can anyone point out the apologies in this conversation? Hi, we have a reservation for 8 p.m. under the name Clara. So reading through this conversation one more time, where are the apologies? Who is apologizing? We have the customers and we have the hostess. It looks like that there are people here going into a restaurant. They've reserved, maybe they've booked a table for dinner, and they're speaking with the hostess in the restaurant, the person who seats them. So we have the customers in the restaurant and the hostess. Who is apologizing? The customers, hi, we're sorry, but we want a table. Hi, I'm really sorry, but I'm so hungry. I really need to eat something. Who is apologizing? The hostess or the customers? Because this happens. Thank you very much. I don't see you in the book. I don't see you in the book. Excellent. Is the excuse. And in the first part of the blue is the apology. Thank you very much, Greta. And thank you, Carolina. So in the blue sentence, I apologize, ladies, is the apology. I don't see you in the book is the excuse. So then the customer says, are you sure? We called just a few hours ago. Then the hostess says, oh, I'm very sorry. There's her apology. What's her excuse? So here, the hostess used the basic language for apologizing. I apologize, and I'm very sorry. Her excuses, on the other hand, are, I don't see you in the book. And they didn't write it down. It's not my fault. They didn't write it down. That's why I didn't see you. So the hostess gives her apologies and her excuses. Here we have a situation making and accepting apologies. You're in a crowded metro city center. You're in a crowded metro in the city center. What's a metro? The metro is the train that runs underground. In New York, they call it a subway. You're carrying a lot of things and you need to find a seat. You bump into people, step on some toes, and hit people with your bags accidentally. Oh my goodness. So you're on a crowded train. You're trying to find a seat and you have a lot of packages. Maybe you have a few kids behind you. This has happened to me. And you're bumping into people. You're stepping on their feet. You're hitting people with your bags. And these are typical excuses that you can make. I didn't see you. Your feet were in the aisle. Your dog was blocking my way. My things are heavy. I'm trying to get a seat. And these are different excuses that we could use. I'm going to give you now, let's see here. Wait a minute. Apologizing. Actually, hang on here. All right, let's take a look at the second situation. breaking something valuable. Here we are in a shop. You're at a very expensive furniture store in Beverly Hills. As you are looking at a particularly expensive lamp, you bend over to get a closer look. But as you bend over, you break another extremely expensive lamp. So you're looking at one expensive thing and you break something else that's extremely expensive. You look at the price tag and realize that the lamp costs twice as much as your monthly rent. Yeah. How do you respond to the manager? Okay, I am the manager in this shop. You've just broken a very expensive item. So now I'm coming to you, everyone in the group today. You are all a customer in my expensive shop. And you've just broken a very, very valuable item. How are you going to apologize to me? Okay, as you come up with an apology and an excuse, I will either accept or refuse your apology. So you've just broken something extremely expensive in a shop, and this may have happened to some of us. I have broken things, not necessarily in expensive shops, but I have broken things in the supermarket. I once broke 2 cartons of eggs, and there were eggs all over the floor. I once broke a bottle of wine. Well, actually, my son did when he was small. I broke a bottle of olive oil. In fact, when I used to do the shopping, remember, do the shopping, you go to the supermarket. When I used to do the shopping, I used to break things all the time with my kids. And they used to hate us at the supermarket. But I wasn't intentional. I think the worst part is when you break something after you buy it. So you just pay for it. You're like, oh, great, I really needed 10 eggs. And then you drop them on the floor. That happened to me once, twice, on the same day. Okay, so you're in a shop. Is anyone going to apologize? You've just broken an expensive lamp. What do you say? This is a lamp that has cost thousands and thousands of euro. You figure if your rent is 800 euro, the lamp is 1,600. This is a special lamp. Do you make an excuse? If you're not comfortable apologizing, I can apologize to you. I can apologize to you, and you can either accept or refuse my apology. Doesn't look like anyone is going to apologize for breaking this lamp. Thank you very much, Catalina. Catalina says, sorry, I didn't want to do it. I know, but you did. You did. You broke a very expensive lamp. Catalina says, I'm sorry, I didn't want to do it. And now, how do we resolve this situation? Would anyone like to accept or refuse Catalina's apology? Catalina, I was taking a box on the last shelf and then all the things went on the floor. I know, Catalina, I understand. Miss, I understand the situation. But in the end, you broke a one-of-a-kind lamp. Can you get out of that situation? What do you do? I would just run out of the store. That's what I would do. I would just run. I would run away. They'd be like, oh, that lady broke that lamp, and now she's gone. I know. In the end, Catalina, all we can say is, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to pay, but I am so sorry. Okay, here we have another one. Wait a minute. You can't see this yet. I'm going to, hang on one second. Let's look through another situation. All right. Talking out of anger. This is something maybe a lot of us can relate to. You can be stressed, as Gianmarco was before. You can be distracted. You can not be in the mood to socialize. You're talking with a classmate after a lesson at English school. I'm running and I take an airplane for another country. Exactly. Exactly, Catalina. That's me. Like, oh, did you see that lady? She just broke that lamp. And now she's on a plane. She's on a plane leaving the country. Okay, here we have another situation. This is our last situation for today. And Greta too. Nice. So we apologize and we make excuses. And in the end, we run away. We run away. This time now, I'm apologizing to you, and you are going to accept or refuse my apology. You were talking with a classmate after a lesson at English in the City, Prato. Your teacher for this lesson had a very strange accent. So you do an impression of them to make your classmate laugh. However, your classmate doesn't laugh because the teacher is standing right behind you. All right, so you are my teacher. I am the student that is making fun of you because you have an accent. Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you standing there. I was just kidding. I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing near you. It was just a joke. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. All right. So I am making fun of you. You are angry with me because you are the teacher. I am the student. I tell you I'm sorry. And I say, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. You have a very, very bad accent. Do you accept my apology? What do you say? Get out of here. I'm not teaching you anymore. You fail. Do you accept or refuse my apology? Just so you know, I have had students make fun of me before. It happens. Especially because in the English language, there are so many accents that you can have a British accent, you can have an American accent like mine. Even in the United States, there are different accents from the different parts of the United States. You can have an Australian accent. If you know the other teachers at English in the City, we all have a different accent, which makes it great. But sometimes it can also make it difficult to understand all of us because we all speak differently. The words are the same, but the accent is different. Is anyone going to accept or refuse my apology? I've just told you that I'm sorry. I won't do it again, I promise. I was just making a joke with my friend. But you really are a great teacher. What are some possible ways you can accept or refuse the apology? Well, you can laugh along with the students, be like, that's okay. I know sometimes my accent makes it difficult to understand. Or you can be a serious teacher. It's like, well, you know what? That's not really appropriate to make fun of the teacher. Don't let it happen again. I understand. You're only kidding around. That's okay. So notice in these different acceptances of the apology, you can also understand my feelings about it. I could laugh too. Oh, that's so funny. Don't worry about it. That's okay. Or I say, you know what? It wasn't really very nice, but never mind. Very good. Catalina says, yes, no problem. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to anyone. Or simply, never mind, which means, listen, I hear your apology, but, and that's a very, to brush off someone's apology. You've accepted it, but you're not very happy with them at the same moment. All right, in today's focus, we went over some very important language. At the beginning of our focus, Denise asked us, what is an apology? An apology, we realize, is what you say when you are sorry, when you've done something wrong, when you've hurt someone's feelings. And then you can apologize for a number of things. You can apologize for something very serious, or you can apologize for arriving late. You make arrangements to meet a friend for dinner and you're 15 minutes late. Oh, I'm sorry. Or you're supposed to call your friend on the telephone one day and you forget. You're like, oh, I'm sorry. And the different ways of saying we're sorry are, I apologize for. I sincerely apologize. I'm sorry. Accept my apology. Excuse me and forgive me. The most common phrase for apologizing is I'm sorry. We learned also that after the apology, you make an excuse. What is an excuse? An excuse is when you give an explanation. I did that because. I'm really sorry, but it happened because. What were different examples of excuses? I'm late because there was so much traffic. I couldn't call you because my phone is dead. I'm sorry, or I said that because I wasn't thinking. Or I seemed rude because I'm not in the mood to socialize. Or as John Marco said, I'm just so stressed out about my job. So we realize that there are different phrases for apologizing. Then we make an excuse for apologizing, an excuse for our actions, after which the person has to accept or refuse our apology. How do they accept or refuse it? No problem. That's okay. That's all right. I forgive you. Never mind. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Don't let it happen again. And these are all different ways of accepting an apology. From something that sounds like forgiveness to something that means, fine, I don't care. You said you're sorry. Just let it go. And we realize also that as difficult as it is to apologize, it's very difficult to apologize, it's also difficult to accept an apology. Because sometimes if someone tells us that they are sorry, we don't believe them. Or we're so angry that we can't forgive them. So we've seen in this focus that it's difficult to apologize, and it can be difficult also to accept an apology and to really forgive somebody. It's not easy. It's not easy, but we know that in our language, whether we speak Italian or Spanish or Chinese or French or English, in our first language, it's difficult to apologize. But it's that much more difficult to apologize in another language because we have to learn the phrases that you need to know to say, I'm sorry. And in every language, it's different. In every language, there are groups of phrases you need to learn so that you can say that you're sorry. because I guess at the end of the day, we're all imperfect. We all make mistakes. And at some time or another, we all have to say we are sorry. Well, listen, we've come to the end of our focus for today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. It has been a wonderful way to pass this part of my afternoon. If no one has any questions, then I'm going to sign off for now. Keep in mind that I am live again at 7 p.m. for our Focus 810. This evening we were talking about money. And as usual, English in the City Prato is live every day on YouTube and on our Facebook page. So listen, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. And I will see everyone next time.